Hello everybody, it's Kenneth and welcome back to another video. And today we're going to be covering some more SAT math topics just to solidify your guys' foundations. And it's going to be specifically tailored towards geometry and trig, but we do have a couple practice problems first, and they are more focused like in other areas. So, for example, we have, a rectangular prism has a height of 9 inches. So let's write h equals 9. The length of the prism is x inches, so let's write length equals x. And that is 7 inches more than the width of the prism's base. So we can say the width is x minus 7 because x is greater, so the width has to be smaller than x, which means it will have to be x minus 7 inches. So how do we find the volume with our height, length, and width? Well, for a rectangular prism, we know that the volume is equal to length times width times height. So in this case, what do we have? The volume will be 9 times x. 9 is our height, x is our length, times our width, which is x minus 7. So what does that leave us with? Well, this is not a term that we found, so it's not going to be B or A. And this x plus 7 is not our width. Therefore, the answer is going to be D. So let's go to the second problem. Now here we have two parallel lines. Lines M and N are parallel, and line K intersects both lines. Which of the following statements is true? So it looks like we're trying to find x in degrees. Now, if you remember parallel lines, you'll remember that these are, well, they add up to 180, but you're not trying to find this, you're trying to find this. So let's think of something here, okay? If these add up to 180 and these add up to 180, what logically should the value of x be? It should be the same as the given angle. And really, the fundamental rule here is that angles that are opposite of each other are typically equal, with parallel lines at least. So we can say that x is 145, so we just have to find the answer choice that says this. X is less than 145? No. X is greater than 145? No. X is equal to 145? Yes, exactly. Okay, so that one was pretty fast, but now we have a question that might take some more time here. So basically what it's saying is there's a table with a data set. And then a second or another point of data, which is eggs in this case, is added to form a new data set. Which of the following compares the means or averages of the two data sets? Well, if we remember, the average is the sum of like the data divided by the like number of data points. I'm sure there is a better way to explain that, but in this case, this works as a perfect explanation. So using that, how can we find the average or the mean for our first data set, which is just these 5 points here? Well, what we can do to find the average is just add these up. So add, and then we see that it's going to be some large number, and in this case it is 716. Then we divide that by the number of data points, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we get that the mean for this data set is 143.5. Okay, so then how do we find the mean of the second data set? Well, you can take the 716 that we found before and then add 121 to it because it is a new point. And then because you have a new point, you're taking the 5 and then you're adding 1 because there's 6 points now, a 6 nest. So what does this result in? Well, 716 plus 121 divided by 6 is 139.5. So the mean of the original data set is greater than the mean of the new data set, so our answer is going to be A here. Now, another way that you can spot this pretty easily and do it in only a couple of seconds is you can kind of intuitively think like, well, the sixth nest has a number of eggs that is less than any of these above. And since it's less than that, the mean will probably be lower when you add it on. But that's basically the thought process there. Now, first, we're going to talk about some right triangles and trigonometry. So we have a sign here, which is a trig problem. So the triangle above is a right triangle, and sine of b equals 5 over 13. What is the length of side BC? So this is what we're looking for. And if you remember, toa, you get sine equals opposite over hypotenuse. And so this is something, this is very important mnemonic to remember if you don't already know. So since sine is opposite over hypotenuse, we can say that this is going to be sine of b is going to be side AC over 26. So sine of b, which equals 5 over 13. So how do you get 5 over 13 from AC over 26? Well, then AC must equal 10, because when you divide both 10 by 2 and 26 by 2, you'd get 5 over 13. So since AC is equal to 10, we can use our Pythagorean theorem to find side BC. So we get 26 squared equals 10 squared plus BC squared. So 26 squared minus 100, which is just 10 squared, equals BC squared. And then what does that result with? 26 times 26 minus 100. We get 576. The square root of 576 equals BC. So what is the square root of 576? It is 24. So the length of side BC is going to be 24 for this question. Now, the next question is with tangent. So using our SOHCAHTOA, we have TOA here. And the T, or the first letter stands for the trigonometric function that you're using. So we have tangent equals opposite over adjacent side. So what does this mean then? Well, so tangent of A, this is what we're looking for. So it's going to be opposite, which is the opposite side, which is 20, over the adjacent side, which is going to be 21 here. So this one is pretty simple to solve, just 20 over 21. C. Okay. Now, next question is going to be dealing with circles. So here we have a question. I guess the other question could go first. It's a little bit easier than this one, but this one is a bit more challenging, which I feel can be more helpful to like your understanding. So we have a circle, and it gives the center and the radius, and it wants us to find this value of c in our equation of the circle. Well, if we remember the equation of the circle, it's x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals the radius squared. So, and this is our h, and this is our k. So knowing this, how do we find this version for the equation of the circle here? Well, x minus negative 5 is just x plus 5. So we can start with x plus 5 squared. And then y minus 2 is just y minus 2 squared. And then our radius is 9, so what's that squared? Well, 81. Now, to find this, you're going to have to expand all of these terms. So, but what we're really only interested in is the value of c, which by itself is just a constant. So there's not going to be any variables. So we can kind of take a shortcut here and only take the last expanded term from these, right? So when we think about it, when you square x plus 5, the constant term is just going to be 5 squared, which is just 25. And when you square y minus 2, the constant term is just going to be negative 2 squared, which is just positive 4. And then we can get that this equals 81. Now, how do we get this equal to 0? Well, first let's add these up. So we get 29. And then to get it equal to 0, you have to subtract 81 from both sides. So what is the value of c then? Well, 29 minus 81 equals, let's see, negative 52. So c equals negative 52. Beautiful. Now, the last question here deals with finding the first equation of the circle that we talked about in the last problem with the center. Well, given that this is h and this is k, and we have x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. So I guess we just say what's x minus negative 8? Well, that's going to be x plus 8. And then what's y minus 6? It's just y minus 6. And then our radius is 5. So what is that square? 25. So we just have to match. Well, this has 5 as the squared term. Not true. And then this is the only one with the x plus 8. So our answer is going to be B. Now, if you have any questions about any of these, please let me know. But that is it for this video. Thank you guys so much. Have a good time.